Following a disappointing Las Vegas track is the mighty Qatar. The Sail is one of the most flowing tracks to drive and is incredibly enjoyable in F1 24. It's a stark contrast to Vegas with a much more downforce orientated design, and when you get into a good rhythm around this track, you can have an incredibly enjoyable race. The corners come at you fast, and many of them are medium speed and really test your car's balance and ability to maintain high minimum corner speeds. For my recommended aero setup, I've got things set pretty high. This gives the best overall lap time during qualifying, so go with 44 on the front wing and 40 on the rear. Now I'm going to say this now, but you might want to reduce this by a few clicks when heading into a race, as the AI will be running a much lower downforce setup. You'll see in the gameplay in this video that during the corner sequences, I can easily keep up with the AI with this higher downforce approach. I have run a much smaller wing gap to really ensure this setup gives you a car that can be pushed hard throughout a lap. The close gap between front and rear wings can lead to a touch of understeer at some corners, so we've countered this with our transmission setup. I've set the on-throttle diff to 60%, which gives you a good push out of the faster corners. I've then gone with a low off-throttle diff setup of 35% and a higher engine braking setup of 70%. This combination will allow your car to be a little freer under braking and rotate better into some of the corners. Now Qatar really tests your car's ability to lean on its tyres and carry speed through a turn. Due to this, I've set the geometry all the way left on all of the options. This gives us the largest amount of negative camber, helping with corner speed, and the minimal toe helps to reduce drag. I've gone with a fairly aggressive approach to our suspension setup due to the corner styles at this track. Opt for 36 and 9 on the suspension, which is actually pretty soft compared to some tracks. However, pair this with a stiff anti-roll bar setup of 19 and 15. Higher ARBs will improve our performance mid-corner, and at this circuit, with this car setup, instability isn't too much of an issue. Le Sail is incredibly smooth, mainly thanks to it being a MotoGP track for many years, and this lets us run an incredibly low ride height at just 25 and 52. With the brake setup, opt for 100% pressure and just 54% bias. There are a few corners where you'll be braking and rotating the car at the same time, so a slightly more rearward bias is preferable. Finally, this track is incredibly tough on tyre wear. Not quite to the same level as Spain, but not far off. You should run almost maximum tyre pressures to try and limit the wear, with just the front right pressure being slightly lower at 29 psi. I did mention at the start, but this track is incredibly enjoyable and is one of my actual favourites. This car setup allows you to push the car hard through the middle part of the lap, and in some cases, actually challenge the AI at corners which aren't typically overtaking spots. The downside of this car setup is a very slight lack of top speed, meaning you may need to use ERS strategically throughout a race. We're almost at the end of this car setup series, so if you've been enjoying these, consider subscribing as I've got plenty more F1 24 content planned. But for now guys, I'm going to see you on track.